folks, welcome to the channel. I'm Don. Today I'm taking a look at Neil deGRASSE Tyson on the universe and belief in God. And I did a video a while ago on his, I think it was titled Neil deGRASSE Tyson or deGRASSE Tyson, an atheist. He didn't come out and say yes or no. He was leaning, the sense was yes, very heavily, kind of there. But if I recall correctly, he had the disposition that I've even heard Hitchens say that, look, I can't prove that there's not a God. I just don't think the evidence supports it. And that's kind of where Tyson was leaning. Let's see this interview, what he's got to say about the universe and how that impacts his belief in God. I'll be watching this for the first time with you as well. Here we go.
Do you believe in God?
Me?
Creator?
Yeah, so I'm, the more I look at the universe, just the less convinced I am that there is something benevolent going on. So if your concept of a creator is someone who's all powerful and all good,
right?
That's not an uncommon pairing of powers that you might describe to a creator. All powerful and all good. And I look at disasters that afflict Earth and life on Earth: volcanoes, hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, disease, pestilence, congenital birth defects. You look at this list of ways that life is made miserable on Earth by natural causes. And I just ask, how do you deal with that? So philosophers rose up and said, if there is a God, God is either not all powerful,
right,
or not all good. I have no problems if, as we probe the origins of things, we bump up into the bearded man. If that shows up, we're good to go. Okay?
Yeah, all right, so this is consistent. I want to interject here that herein is the difficulty too, where if God's all good and bad things happen, well, then the follow-up that many fundamentalist Christians have is that, well, there's the devil. The devil's in charge, makes all these bad things happen, not God. That was sort of the next, like a bifurcation of thought. But then the problem becomes, then God's not all powerful. And then because if some other being can come in and screw up what you've created, then, and you allow it, then it impugns the notion, the premise that he's all good and all powerful. It does both. So that idea militates against the notion that there's one God in control of everything. Because if you're going to say that, well, then this devil or Satan or Lucifer, this bad guy came along and started screwing everything up, then you're clearly not all powerful because something else is exerting control over you, over your creation.
Not a problem. There's just no evidence of it. And this is why religions are called faiths, collectively. Because you believe something in the absence of evidence. That's what it is. That's why it's called faith. Otherwise, we would call all religions evidence. But we don't, for exactly that reason. So I'm given what everyone describes to be the properties that would be expressed by an all-powerful being in the gods that they worship. I look for that in the universe and I don't find it. So I remain unconvinced. But if you've got some good evidence, bring it, bring it, okay? And so I don't lead with that information because what I believe should be irrelevant to anyone. It's not about me. It's about the real world.
Yeah. Well, and I diverge on one point there, that I've always maintained that faith is the product of reason. It's just that the premises that are being plugged into the equation are different than what, in the scientific realm, the premises that are put into that equation as far as whether or not folks believe in God and what they see. In the scientific community, it's what has been observed. Whether it's biology, chemistry, theoretical physics is theoretical, so it's really not observed. In some cases you observe it, but then you would call it evidence. Evidence has to do with what you have already observed. In the communities of faith, frequently the premises that are plugged in is what they believe will be observed. And in some senses, that's no different than when a scientist comes up with a hunch as to why a certain thing is happening a certain way, or why are galaxies redshifting faster than the speed of light, which according to Einstein and the theory of relativity is impossible. So now we have to account for that, but a scientist might have a hunch about that, or about why the human genome behaves a certain way, or how does it impact birth defects and have you. And a lot of these hunches are never heard of because they're proven wrong, or they're seen to be wrong. The things that are relied upon have been tested and observed, and therefore they are evidence. In the faith community, it is the product of reason. It's just the premises are very different. And if you can't, if your notion of what you're going to believe is what you can see, test, repeat, and all that, then fair enough. No problem with that. I mean, we benefit many ways in the health community, in the medical community, for example, from people who have studied and gone down and observed in petri dishes and poor mice and studying things on gnats and all that. So we can see what we consider to be the benefits of the laws of nature playing out in those specific fields. We see them. They become our evidence. Whereas in the faith community, you can see evidence of certain things that you're looking for. Like, let's just take the proverb. I think it's a proverb that says, a soft answer turns away wrath. Now, you can play that out in a social context and say, well, if I'm not as aggressive with somebody, let's say my spouse, my kids, if I'm having an argument with somebody or it's a contentious subject, say it's politics or it could be religion, and somebody's very agitated with you, and then you're like, I'm not going to come hard. I'm going to dial it back, and it's going to reduce the amount of wrath or anger or animosity that we might wind up having. Soft answer can also turn away your own wrath. Most folks see it as, it's almost manipulative in a way. Well, if I'm gentle and soft, even though I hate the person I'm talking with, but if I'm gentle and soft, we can have a better conversation. That's true. That's observable. But it will also turn away your own wrath, your own angst, where if you condition yourself over time, you make a habit, as Aristotle says, and it becomes a virtue. It becomes second natured in you to be patient, to be thoughtful, but to give soft responses, non-aggressive responses. You may discover, many people discover, that does work better in conversation. That is evidence. It's a different evidence than what you might see in a petri dish, but this is where I say I think it's all the product of human reasoning, but reason, the conclusions we draw, are the product of the premises that we insert. You can challenge the premises. Any argument's premises can be challenged. That's why you write them down. You want them to be agreed with, but that people are going to generally find flaws with them if there are flaws to be discovered. Somebody's going to find them eventually. So anyway, but I like his perspective on that. He doesn't see an all-good, all-powerful God. But that doesn't mean he doesn't see that there's a God. Just our description of him or her or it is might be a bit skewed if there is a God. There you go. All right, folks. Hope you enjoyed that. See you on another video. Have a great day. Keep thinking theology. Hey, folks. If you want to take the personality test that I created for my life coaching practice, which is based on the book that I wrote, put your phone up, turn it on camera, and focus on this, and it'll take you to it. And it'll take you about 20 minutes to complete the test. It's free, and you'll get some information on your personality. It's quite detailed, quite revealing. It's kind of fun as well. And I'll be leaving this QR code up on the wall behind me for my regular videos. So I hope you take it, and I hope you enjoy it.